think this is going to be your best podcast ever.
Epicurean. But OFC and pink lemonade's pretty damn good. It'll put your boat in the marsh. Jesus did not die so you could eat yellow number 5. Excitable.
The nose starts off gentle with noticeable sense of grain that takes shape in the form of fresh baked bread.
Ma'am, you're in the wrong podcast. Educated-ish. I have used the term overproof for so long without really knowing what it
constitutes.
Yeah, because for
Is
me,
there a definition officially?
welcome to Bitches and Bourbon. And we're live. Hello. You know, I say that, Reba, all the time, and we're not really live. Like, when people listen to it, we're not really live because when they get it, we're recorded. But I don't really think I'm going to be that literal about the whole thing.
I don't think anybody cares.
Yeah. Okay, so fine then. So we're live. Hello, Reba. How are you doing today?
Oh, just peachy.
So we have people to introduce that need no introduction because they've been here today. But if it's all the same to everybody, I'm feeling a little sluggy today. So if we can just cheers first and then move on with the formalities, I would really appreciate that. Does that work? And then we'll discuss. We'll discuss
Not even
all the
talking
things.
about what we're doing?
No. We'll talk about all that in a minute.
Cheers.
Cheers, y'all. Fantastic. Thank you all very much. Now that we've got that out of the way. Woo, that needs ice.
Yeah.
Wow. We'll get back to that in just a minute. But first, let me go ahead and say this, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be our anniversary episode because I have committed. Today is December 30th, 2022. I have committed to getting this thing edited and produced and out by tomorrow so that it can go as our anniversary episode because we are 1 year old tomorrow. Yay! I feel like I should have, I think I have sound effects on this thing. That's fun. What about this one?
You need a clapping one.
I got one. We have applause. We have applause. It's applause. I need somebody going, oh, there's... Okay, that's gonna... So I just told everybody before we started, this is how we're going to do it today so that the editing process is very easy so that I can do this in a timely manner. And here I go fucking around with shit we ain't fucked around with the entire time we've been doing the show. Anywho, so what we've decided to do today is we brought 2 of our most regular and, quite frankly, I dare say favorite. And if you've been a guest on this show before, just they're your favorite too. So don't even be mad that it's not you. But we have the beautiful Miss Melissa Silva. Hey, guys. And the ever titillating Melissa Kobi.
Hello, world.
There she is. And as always, my Miss Reba is over there looking at me, and we just opened
Our infinity bottle.
and that fucker needs ice, like really bad. It's not bad. Like it's a fine.
No, for having 24 different whiskeys in there, it's pretty tasty.
24 different whiskeys in there. That is exactly what it has in there.
24 in a year. That's just what we've recorded on.
That's 2 a month.
That's just what we've
Holy
recorded
shit. We are amazing. We are warriors. Do you hear me right now? Like, that is bananas. So we talked about, so last night Reba and I had like a planning session. We kind of took inventory of the bottles that we had. We recorded another episode. That's going to be Rowan's Creek. You'll either hear that one directly before or directly after this episode, depending on how the editing process goes. But while we were doing that last night, we were kind of going.
So the editing for that one should be pretty good.
Yeah, we did pretty great. But we went through some of the things we've already done, and then we inventoried the bottles that we currently have and kind of tried to plan what we wanted to do next. And so we knew last night that there was 8 bottles in season 1, 8 bottles in season 2, 8 bottles in season 3, and then so there's 24 bottles because math. But it wasn't until you said it just now that 24 bottles parlayed itself into 2 a month. I'm like, all right, I'm here for it. I'm not even going to, you know what? This needs ice, but I'm just going to finish it.
Are you on a mission? You're looking forward to that nap. This will be helpful for your nap.
I am actually not on a mission today. But in celebration of what we've got going on here today, I do have cheap champagne. So I'm actually trying to...
Your scabbard.
I'm all for some champagne.
Yes, right? So I actually have cheap champagne. Like, I mean real cheap champagne. Like, I mean like $82 champagne. No, I'm kidding. I mean like $5.25 a bottle should really only be used for mimosa champagne. But I'm going to pop that fucker and drink it today anyway, because that's what we have. That's what we're doing.
That's about how much we've made on our TikTok. It covered our cheap-ass champagne.
Oh, baby. Jesus, you're right about that. Because Lord knows we're not winning any awards. So something's... All right, I'm going to take... Y'all give me just a second while I put all my petty back in this bottle that I just opened. Don't... Who taught me how to be petty, ma'am?
Have no idea. No one in this room. Why are you looking at me like that?
Because you a damn lie. That's why. Oh, so, Miss Silva, what are you drinking today?
Well, I'm finishing breakfast, which very late, which is a peach something smoothie, and then Kobi
Sure it
opened. Well, it was after the spiked coffee, but in between.
There we go.
And then Kobi opened. Let's see what. Oh, a Malbec for us, and so we're doing.
Wait, hold on. You
Yes.
opened a Malbec?
Yep.
Yeah, it's delicious.
It is yummy.
Yes. So, cheers to Kobe and I. So we're drinking that, and you guys are doing
No,
your infinity bottle.
Like, no, that's like my absolute fake.
Here you go.
Please and thank you.
Go for it.
The Ken and Alex Tudor Malbec Cabernet Sauvignon Oak Knoll District of Napa Valley 2019. So these bottles all come from Naked Wines, and I can't believe we haven't talked about them sooner, because so Naked Wines has this thing, they're called Angels, and it's like, and a lot of folks are too young to remember, but it's almost like Columbia House for music when we were kids, where you would like send them $10 a month and you'd get like this CD every month or whatever. But this is a little different in that the money that you send them every month, I think it's like $40 I send them once a month. It just stays in an account. And dollar for dollar, you use that money to buy the wines from their website. And so most of their wines range anywhere from like $12 to $22 a bottle. And they're really, really good wine. And the reason they're able to do it so inexpensively is because they do this co-op type service. There's no middlemen. There's no advertising for the winemakers. There's no distribution and any of that kind of stuff. It's just from the winery to the consumer. And they just pile all that money together, and I'm sure they work off the interest and those kind of things. But that's probably been one of my favorite. If I could find a whiskey thing that was like that,
do you want me to get you a glass?
No, I think I'm going to drink out of this one.
Okay.
Are you done drinking Infinity Bottle?
Yes, I think I'm done drinking the Infinity Bottle. Not because it's not delicious, but simply because in order for us to keep it...
Yeah.
Because what's happened over the last year, with 24 bottles, that Infinity Bottle should well support us, except for every time somebody comes over, they want to taste it. Yeah. And I have a hard time telling people no. In fact, I will not tell people no. Like, as far as I'm concerned, like, that's like sourdough yeast, right? Like, as long as there's a drop in there, then I'm good. So, but no, I think for 2023, and we're going to talk about what everybody's plans are for 2023. So my kids bought me this glass for my birthday, and it's a little rocks glass, and it's etched on there with a Minor Myers quote. It says, "Go into the world and do well, but more importantly, go into the world and do good." And I really like that. It tickles all of my little boxes. I love the way the quote is just in itself is just super supportive and positive. But that the play on words is so grammatically correct.
Yeah.
That, like, the literature bug in me was like, yes. So I think 2023, this is going to be my glass, until which time it gets broken or thrown or
Just
somebody else comes up with something else that tickles me a little better.
maybe you
Mine
just
are
have to keep it in
Myers.
here.
Yeah, well, I got to wash it.
Yeah, that's true.
So no, I think I'll drink this Malbec. And so yeah, Reba and I are doing this infinity bottle. I think we're moving to this Malbec pretty quick. That the Melissa's opened, and so without further ado, I think what I would like to do, if it's okay with everybody, is I would like 2022. That's all I'm going to say, and then we're just going to go around the table. 2022.
It wasn't my favorite, I have to be honest. My 2021 was much better than my 2022. I just had a lot more growth in 2021 than 2022. I feel like I kind of went backwards in 2022.
You mean professionally?
Professionally, yeah.
Yeah, but let's be fair about some things. Like, you didn't really go backwards in 2022 unless we're just talking about maybe volume, right? Because you did kind of, I mean, like, you're exploring new avenues.
Yes and no. I don't know. I mean, this year was just very different. Very difficult. Even the transactions I did have were, not that the past 2 years have been easy because of COVID, thank you very much, but it was just a completely different ball game and not my favorite. And probably because in the real estate world, not to knock the newer ones, but we saw a lot of people being unprofessional. And a lot of that showed this year when you're working with people who have no idea what they're doing in a changing market. It's very frustrating. So anywho, that's my take on 2022. Personal life has been great. My daughter's great. My husband's great. I don't have any complaints. My brother moved here from New York. So, but
Yeah, and you recruited us a new book club member through
I
the
know,
deal.
and she's awesome, and they're engaged.
Yes!
I know.
Oh, where's my... So... Yeah, I should have never started playing with that thing. I swear to God. I was actually just fixing to mouth to you, like, can we talk about the engagement? Because, like, engagements are so exciting.
Yeah, it's great. I'm so happy for them. So, all in all, now bringing that to light, 2022 hasn't been that bad, but I do want to see 2023 be much better than this year, for sure.
I like it.
I'm sticking with just rough and
Moving on.
Yep.
I think that's absolutely fair.
yeah.
You can only go up from here now.
Well, we never say that. Everybody knock on wood real fast. Because every time I think there's a bottom in life, they're like, oh, yeah, hold my beer.
Yeah.
Some things I'm proud of, but I'm still just sticking with rough.
It's hard. I haven't really reflected. Like, I do follow, like, all the superstitions for, like, the day. You're not doing laundry. You're not doing any of those things because that's what you'll do for the rest of the year. So I follow those. But I usually like it as crazy as it sounds is the day after. So, like, on January 2nd is when I usually, like, do all the reflection and figure out, like, what worked this past year, what didn't work this past year, what I want it to look like, and those type of things. And I've learned that in that process that not to go too deep, because if I try and change all the things at once, I would like change nothing or anything like that. And so it's hard for me because I haven't went through that process yet to kind of see what worked and didn't work. And I've intentionally, our office closed for a pretty extended period of time, and even with the office closed, I made a commitment that I wasn't working unless a volunteer needed something, and to kind of be intentional and spend the time with Dan and Abby and doing things. And so that's another reason I really haven't reflected on anything, and so I don't have a good answer yet. And we lost a fur baby this week. Our Miss Tiger Lily went to our kitty cat heaven this week. And so, again, we've purposely not done a lot of reflecting. We've kind of been with each other and been in the feelings. So
I'm going to go out on a limb and say I'm just not real mad at 2022. Like, 2022, I married a daughter off, and Reba and I were talking about that last night. Like, I don't even know if you can politically correctly say that anymore, that you've married a daughter off. But I did. And here's the truth. his parents married a son off, and that makes it completely okay to say. 2022, I don't know. I guess it was work was harder, school was harder, but I don't really feel any worse for the wear. I guess is what I'm thinking about 2022. I did come to the end of the year sooner than I typically do, only because this last semester in school was so intense that when break came on like December 9th or whatever, it was like completely done, over, finished. And for me, that felt like the end of my year, because I literally had I have almost a month to do absolutely nothing, to be responsible for nothing. And so I was able to kind of move into this get ready for the new year earlier than I really ever have before, which is interesting because I don't remember any of my winter breaks being this long before, but I'm certain that they have. I just don't remember them being that way. But what I've really kind of focused on are keeping things that I want to keep, letting go of things that I want to let go of, and not feeling any kind of way about that. But if they do make me feel a kind of way, just feel a kind of way for just a minute, and not waiting. So as it always does, when school gets hectic, my fitness goes down. Like the time I put into taking care of myself decreases. And that happened exponentially this semester, because it's absolutely been the hardest semester I've ever had to do. So what I did do is I decided not to wait until January 1st to make changes, right? Or to try to get back. Now, I don't know what's going to happen next semester. Like, we may go through the exact same cycle, but I know I didn't wait till the first of the year to do anything. So that made me feel good. I kind of like those kind of things. And I guess my whole thing is, Reba and I recorded an episode last night for Rowan's Creek. It is a whiskey that comes from the same place. It's the Willet Distillery, and we had done a Willet episode back in April. Yes. So in preparation for recording that, I went back and I re-listened to that Willet episode. And one of the things in there we talked about is my desire to make things every day champagne worthy. And that was something that I really started off in 2022, and somewhere along the way I kind of forgot that was a thing I was trying to do, was make every day champagne worthy. And so I think I'm going to rededicate myself to remembering that I can find a way every day to make today champagne worthy, even if I got to make shit up.
Yep.
I'll just make shit up.
I have a gratitude diary that I'm going to use starting in 2023.
Have you ever done one of those before?
No, but I got one that's like tips and tricks on how to, it just kind of pulls and makes you think. And like, all right, today I'm dead. Well, give me some ideas on what you want me to write in here. So it is one of those types of gratitude diaries that, like, it's giving you some inspiration so that you can write something down. We'll see.
I've had the hardest time.
I've never done it. I've journaled most of my life. But I find that I journal more about the negative than the positive in my life. And so I wanted to get away from that. And so we're going to see. Trial and error. I have no idea. I may hate it every minute of it. But I just wanted to get away from... I didn't want to look back at my journals and be like, wow, I was so depressing, when I'm really not that depressing in real life.
You're
so
really not.
I'm like, that is not who I am. So I'm trying to switch gears and do that.
Yeah, because I'm being really honest. That's how I'm feeling right now. Like, when we went around the table and asked everybody about their 2022, and everybody's like, fuck me, shoot me in the head, I'm glad it's over. I'm like, wait a minute. I was with you all of 2022. Like, we had a whole lot of fun.
24 bottles worth.
Yeah, 20 plus. 24 recorded bottles worth, right? And I'm like, I was with all of you through all of 2022, and that's not how I remember it. But I think you hit on a really great point. Like, when we go back and when we start to get deep and we start to reflect, I think our brains naturally go to those places that are less than, and where do I find the doubt, and where do I chip away at? And I think that's one of the things that I'm trying to get better at not doing. Mm-hmm. Our book club is reading a book called Black Cake. The mother in this book really is my favorite character so far. And she says something towards the end because there's a family fallout, and she is trying to explain to her daughter that she understands why her daughter behaved the way she behaved, and that it was okay for her to set boundaries. And what she says is, question yourself, yes, but don't doubt yourself. There's a difference. And as soon as I heard it, I stopped the whole book. I highlighted it, and I'm like, I wish somebody had said that to me like 30 years ago. Like, that was because obviously, like, you read it, question yourself, yes, but don't doubt yourself. There's a difference. Obviously, that's true. But to have it put in that succinct kind of way, I think speaks exactly to what you're talking to. We, in our desire to be better people, that's what we do. We go in, we reflect, we think, and whatever. But what we let that turn into is we let that question go from questioning and inquisition and general curiosity to self-doubt, which is ridiculous, I think.
Yes, I would agree.
I'm going to jump in and go back to gratitude. So I've noticed I do better when I'm doing that practice. But I've noticed I don't do better if it's the guided and the questions. What I've noticed is I do better when I do it at the end of the day, and my rule for myself is it can't be the general, like, I'm thankful for Abby, or I'm thankful for Dan, or I'm thankful. It has to be very specific.
Or I'm thankful for April.
Yes, always. Always and forever.
I'm getting mine. I'm jumping in and getting mine. Y'all do what y'all want to do.
But it was something specific that day, or that happened. And so Abby has actually gotten into bullet journaling lately, probably the past year. And she did one for me, and I can't keep up with it. And I was like, that's very sweet. I can't do that. I can't put that kind of time and energy and stuff into it. But what she did do for me is I had said to her something about I needed to look for something new to start back that gratitude practice in the new year, because I do so much better when I do that. And so she took one of her line journals and kind of did some things in there with some quotes and things like that. But for me, I've noticed that that's how I do better with the whole grateful thing, is because I've tried both. But if I make a rule, like before I go to bed at night, that or whenever I'm doing kind of closing out my day, if I write, even if it's just one or two things, but it's specific to that day, I do better. And then the next morning when I get up, I kind of look at it and I was like, oh yeah, that's what happened that's what happened today. But and I do completely agree with that quote too. But just going back to gratitude for a minute.
So while it may not be delightful to reflect on later, did it help, I guess, move past what was going on by writing about it?
I mean, yeah, for sure. It's just that I don't want that to be the only thing that I reflect on, like later on down. I don't want to, like, we're talking years of journals. My divorce, everything's in there,
Gotcha.
My, when Ted and I were dating, and it was frustrating, and April knows about that, because I was on her back porch all the time bitching about it. But, so it's just stuff like
she
that.
She said drinking my booze wrong.
So, yeah, and kind of going back to what April said, too, even though I wrote down a lot of the negative things that were going on in my life, reflecting back on it, it didn't put me in a position to where I was walking backwards. I hate these things about my life. I want to change these things about my life. Now, what do I have to do? And that's kind of become my motto in life, too, is once I start having more bad days than good, then I know it's time for a change, whatever that may look like, whether it's personal, or business or whatever it may be. That's kind of how I calculate everything. But like I said, I just kind of want to switch gears and see what that would look like if I had something to reflect on that says, hey, these are all the good things I've had, happen in 2023, opposed to sitting down and reading my journal. And yes, there's points in there where I do start off with saying, great things about Ava or Ted or whatever's going on in my life or anything that made me happy that day. But I just naturally gravitate towards, and this is all the bullshit that I put up with today, and fuck them and fuck you. So I want to try to walk away from that. But yes, writing down all the bad things in your life, I guess it depends on your personality and how you're going to take that. It's either going to put you in bad path or a good path. What are you going to do with that information once you see it?
Well, I think, interestingly, listening to you talk, Kobi, made me think of two things. One is that as women, we really, and I guess as people in general, and I'm going to fully walk that all the way back and say as people, because I was having conversations with somebody the other day that we just don't allow men to be vulnerable the same way we allow women to be vulnerable. So I'm going to walk that all the way back and say as people, I think that we feel like so often we don't have any place to express that negative. We don't have any place to let that out. And so the only thing that we have are our private journals and our private thoughts. And so that's where it all ends up going because we don't know where else to put it. There's my puppy making her grand entrance. But we don't have anywhere else to put those things because we don't feel like we're supposed to be vulnerable to people in that way. And two, I really like the idea of starting from gratitude because, God, it had to have been 15 years, almost 20 years ago, Silva, when we went to that Women's Network conference in Dallas. Remember?
I do remember.
And was that, what, 15, 16? It was a long fucking time ago.
Had to be.
Long fucking time ago. And what I remember the most, and this is terrible, aside from the people that I met that I still have a relationship with, the thing that I remember the most were the backstories of the keynote speakers that were being delivered from the front. And everybody, bar none, and correct me if I'm wrong, everybody's story was, this is my bottom basement. Like, I was a drug addict. I was an alcoholic. My husband wasn't supportive and he was a piece of shit. And like nobody around me liked me and nobody loved me and I didn't have anybody. It was almost like you had to have this amazingly tragic backstory to make the success that you had obtained valid. Like you couldn't just be successful just because you worked your ass off and became successful. Like that's not good enough. Like anybody can do that. Maybe that's privilege. But this was before that word privilege was being thrown around, right? But you couldn't, like there was nobody that got up there and said, yeah, my parents love each other, had a great household, education was pretty good, enjoyed college, met a great guy, he's been super supportive, and now we have this multi-million-dollar business. Like nobody said that. There was no representation of that whatsoever. And so I almost feel like we've gotten to the point where you have to make it look like your down was so far so that your climb seems impressive. And I'm just not I don't think I'm about that. Like I don't think that's the place that I come from. I don't think that's what I want to I don't think that's what I want to encourage.
I'm proud of saying I'm something successful because I worked my ass off for it.
Yes. And it doesn't, and I don't have to be destitute for that to be valid.
I don't need to feel some kind of way because
like I watch my
worked my ass
children.
off.
Yeah, like I watch my children create drama for themselves.
Yes.
Right? I watch other people's children create drama for themselves because they do have a little bit of privilege about them and they feel a kind of way. Now they're not giving up that privilege.
Makes me think about Yellowstone. Whenever the little 14-year-old boy comes into their life and they're like, this is not your kid. You are not privileged to this. You didn't earn this. You're not righted to anything.
Right.
Like,
and Rip is very serious about that while we're talking about Yellowstone.
Yeah.
He understands that none of that is his and that only through the generosity of his employer is any of that given to him, right? Like he is
his old ladies.
and yes, but let's just be honest, he earns that shit. We were watching the other night when Rip looks at Beth and go, okay, Beth, let's put the crazy away. I thought I was going to get a divorce. That man looks at me in a way that I'm like, the fuck is that look about? And he's like, I love you. And I'm like, see? And why is it that when you want me to put my crazy away, you at the same time do shit that calls it forth?
Yes.
Why do you do that?
Yep.
So anyway, we digress, but I like that digression. That was fun. Yeah, that was the thing about that conference that really kind of set me on a path to say, I do not have to be less than to be validated and feeling successful. I'm a 4.0 college student. I've been accepted into the master's program. Lord willing and the creek don't rise, the doctorate is happening. I have no challenges except for I'm 46 years old. And my eyes are bad. But I have no challenges to learning. I'm not making challenges up to make that particular success seem like this grandiose kind of thing. But anyway, that's what I was thinking of when you were talking about your gratitude journal and why we go to those kind of places when we think about those kind of things. So
I remember that too. I remember that in that conference, and I do think I do think that the world creates some of that. I do hope it's changing. I mean, I do hope it's changing now. You're hearing more people talk about in storytelling, and you're hearing more like in the nonprofit world when you're talking about how you're having conversation with donors and how you're representing people. That you're not going for the destitute. You're going for the success stories, but not the success stories that starts with this person was at this place and that did so much. So it's not about, I'm hearing those conversations, and so I hope that that's changing, that it's a worthy story, not just because you started from here and it had to be this for it to be successful, or, the only way I can get a donor to donate is if I pull the heartstrings, not the most positive way. And so I'm hoping as a society or a world, we're trying to change some of that, because I agree with you. It teaches our children that for them to win, they had to come from this place for it to be okay to win or to be successful. And it's okay that you've worked hard and done a great job and you're successful. You didn't have this big obstacle to overcome.
well, I know you guys have something to be grateful for because that bottle is already gone.
It's very yummy.
It is. Today I am grateful for, who is it again? Kevin and Alex?
Yep.
Ken and Alex. They made a beautiful, beautiful Malbec, and it's already gone.
Yeah, I don't typically prefer, but it's not as dry as some
I
of the
agree.
others.
It's not quite as dry
It's
as
very
I would.
smooth.
I would prefer, but
But that's why I like it too.
delicious nonetheless.
And it was a good follow-up for our infinity bottle.
I think so. And you know what I love about
I don't want
red
another
wine?
whiskey.
No, I'm not doing another whiskey. It's 1:00 in the afternoon. I am not doing another whiskey.
Day drinking over here.
I love day drinking. Day drinking is my favorite drinking. But you have to know how to day drink. Like you can't just
Pick something.
Yeah, you can't just day drink the same way you night drink. Those two things are completely and totally
Yes.
different. Day drinking requires a different pace, a different choice of alcohol. Like if you tried to day drink whiskey, I mean, I guess there are some people that could do it.
I mean, we have, but it doesn't usually.
And well,
Well, no, it ends
Well,
quickly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you figure at night, if the party starts at 8, you have what, 8 to 10, 8 to 12, 7 to 10. You're talking about 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah.
But if you're day drinking, like that's what happened at Christmas. And I was very proud of us on Christmas because we had an adult Christmas. And my husband decided that since there were no children at home, we were cheersing each other with tequila at 9:30 in the morning. And we didn't go to bed till after midnight. So that was a clinic in how to pace yourself.
You tried to go to
throughout
bed
the
before
day.
then.
Well, yeah, but I had people. I was tired. I'd been up since 4, so I was just physically exhausted. So that is one of those rare occasions where the pacing matters.
Yes.
But typically when you day drink, you just drink all day long, which is why really my favorite day drink on the planet is vodka water. That's my favorite day drink. And I do like the red too, especially in the winter, because you can just do little spritzers with them.
Although you enjoyed the lemonade on the boat.
I did. Well, that was vodka lemonade, right? It was the lemonade vodka with the lemonade. and
Yes.
the fruit put in it.
Yes.
Yeah,
We're
that
trying
was
to beat the shit
oh,
out
that
of
was so
lemons to
terrible.
get
Yeah,
the
because
last drops.
because we were on the water longer than we thought we were going to be, and so we didn't. That wasn't a pacing issue. That was a ration issue, and so we're in the middle of the river, and the bottle is empty. But we found that if we closed the lemonade jug that it was made in and shook it really, 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 really hard, that the fruit
would squeeze a little bit
would
more
squeeze
out.
a little bit more out, and it would make some more. So yeah, that was not a pacing issue. That was a ration issue.
that was such fun.
and podcast world, neither Reba nor I were driving the boat
at any point.
at ever at any point. So
Never,
there's my PSA because it'll put your boat in the marsh. So 2022, I think we all agree. Like if we sit around and talk about it, and you're asked to reflect, your brain immediately goes to those things that maybe weren't fantastic, but we know that's probably not the best way to do things, so we're kind of going to try to do that a little different. Talk about what else we're going to do different going into 2023, because I'm going to tell you, 2023 excites me to no end. Like, I'm super excited about 2023. There's a couple of things that are going real well. The podcast, I don't know what happened, but 44. I checked this morning. The podcast has
how many
been
total?
We're like around 3,000, which is I know it's that. So that number. So if you're not familiar with podcast statistics, like when you do a new podcast or a niche podcast, because I can't bring myself to say niche because it just sounds so weird. So we've got a couple of things. One, we're a very niche podcast. Two, we're brand new. And three, we have 0 star power. So with those things being true, 3,000 in a year is pretty great. Like, that's pretty fantastic.
Whoop, whoop.
And we've been interacted with in some way, shape, or form in 44 countries this last year. So I am super excited about that. The website is more functional than it's ever been. I redesigned my website to kind of reflect. That's apriltrepanier.com. There's it's my show. I can plug my shit if I want
your
to.
plug.
Yeah. I can do that if I want to. So I've redone my website so it's more functional. I'm in my last semester of school. And while school will continue, because when the fall comes after graduation, I'll go right into the master's program. I am amazingly ready not to be an undergrad anymore. Like, I am ready for that not to be a thing. So 2023 for me, I think, is going to be super, super exciting. So, and absolutely, like, tout yourselves, like, because I know you're in real estate and you do nonprofit, some really important nonprofit work. So what are you guys looking forward to in 2023?
For me, it's going to be going back to the basics, which anybody who's on here that's in real estate probably already knows what that is. But past 3 years has been pretty crazy. So getting back to the basics, doing the things that I enjoy. We have a big trip coming up. We're going to Jamaica, taking a family member with us who's so excited and so appreciative that it just makes it all worth it. But this year it's definitely going to be more of a growth within my business in a different way. So taking back to basics, getting back with my clients and touching people and interacting with people and doing all that fun stuff. So that's going to be my goal for this year. And then, I mean, really in my personal life, I wish I could say I had a goal, but I don't. I mean, everything's been going really, really well, and I hope it stays that way. So we'll see what 2023 has in store for me, but maybe helping my brother plan his wedding. I don't know.
Oh,
maybe.
That be fun? Oh,
just
maybe.
maybe.
Oh, would that be fun?
It would be so much fun. And that's really it for me. I mean, I'm just kind of taking it day by day. The gratitude thing, like I said, is going to probably be the newest piece to what I do. So we'll see what that looks like. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm kind of over this year. I'm ready for 2022 to close its doors and move on to the new year. And
do you ever not feel that way, though? I mean, that's what I've always noticed about, like, New Year's. Like, there's something about the calendar switching over.
Yeah.
Like, you're always ready for the new thing. Like, I don't know that I've ever gone, like, as great as I feel like 2022 has been for me, I'm still like, all right, 2023, let's go.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, see, not that the year is always the same, but it's kind of like, all right, reset, take 2, take 3, whatever it is, and move on. So I'm looking forward to it, honestly. Even with the shitty year I've had with work, I'm still looking forward to it. It's not brought me down to a point where I'm like, what am I doing in my life over here? I still very much enjoy what I do and everything like that. I'm excited about our Bookcation. Yes. That was a new thing for 2022 that we started doing. And I have to say, like, that was probably a good, like a pivotal point for me in the year because we had such a great time. And it was probably the one time that I left home, went on a vacation, so to speak, and didn't do a damn thing. Like, there was no destination, right? Other than the cabin. Great. Let's show up. Let's park our shit. Let's start drinking. Let's read. What do you want to do? You do that. I'll do this. You're upstairs. I'm downstairs. Whatever, you know? And it was, it was great. So, and even my trip to Jamaica this year was our first one taking Ava. And, you know, I was like, oh man, this is going to be awful because your girl likes to drink, okay? And I'm like, listen, now I got this 13-year-old hanging out with me with her cousin.
I don't want responsibility.
Oh,
you know?
And with boys.
Yes. There was a little boy who had a crushy crush on Ava too. It was so cute. But still, you know, it's, I mean, overall.
So you have to be like on point when those things start happening.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm going to echo that Bookcation business.
Yes.
So I'm going to go ahead and be super transparent. I don't care what this sounds like. I do not like going places without my husband. I just don't. It's not fun for me. I don't enjoy it. I've done it once. Sheila and I did, and it was a great trip. Like Sheila, I don't do girls trips. I just don't do them. But Sheila and I actually went to the Wine and Food Festival at Epcot and spent 2 days at the happiest place on earth with the whole focus being wine and food, like two of my favorite things. And it was still one of those things where he actually made me go. She said, do you want to go? And I'm like, no, I don't want to go. I said, are the men going? She's like, no. And I said, well, I don't want to go. And he's like, you're going. He goes, you absolutely have to go. I said, all right, I'm going to go. I said, if I get homesick, you have to come pick me up from the spend a night, right? Just like I'm in kindergarten, it's my first spend a night out. Like, you got to come get me. I just don't do them. I don't like them. But the Bookcation was like the one only, and we were gone 4 days.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it was not just go hang out for a minute and then come home. Like, we were gone Thursday to Sunday.
Right.
And that was one of those moments in time where I'm like, okay, this suits me. Like, this I like this. Not only do I like it, not only does it suit me, but I need it.
Yes.
And I'm going to make sure that we do that again. The only thing I'm concerned about about Bookcation is so many people want to go now.
Yeah.
I don't know how to, like, we have this year. This year's already booked, already planned. Like I can't help you this year. But like, I'm really going to have to start like putting my brain to work about how 2024 looks, because we have so many people that want to go. And I don't know, like, we had 8 bedrooms last year. I think we have
8.
I think we have 9 bedrooms this year, and you really are capping out. If I can't make it work, I can't make it work, right? Like, because the truth is that when you're looking for rental homes, that 8-9 bedroom mark, like,
is
once
about
you hit
the max.
like, once you can find them.
We've looked for you
can find them, but the price point, when you go from like
especially
single
for only
digit
a 3-night 4-day stay.
Yeah, so like when you go from like that single digit bedroom to that double digit bedroom, like, that price point changes because the house changes.
Yes.
And so I don't know how that works. I hope
2 houses next to each other.
I was going to say, ideal would be like the cabin that we were at. There was the one next door. Granted, it was rented. But if we knew somebody and it was like, hey, maybe we find a spot that becomes the Bookcation spot and we don't move to different cities each
because we
time.
don't need to.
Right.
No. We absolutely don't need to.
No one complained about the place. I don't have any complaints of where we stayed last year or this year, I should say.
Other than having to transport your trash down.
Yeah, that. And we bucked on the system on that. So
Pay the extra fee.
Yeah.
Right. in typical form for all of us, because none of us are rule followers, but there's that.
Yeah. So
I mean,
I would love to figure out how to make that work.
Yeah.
Right.
That would have been perfect if we could get the other house, and then you're a driveway away.
Because there's a place that we stay when we go to Disney and we go to the paintball tournaments that would work well for that if you could get to adjoining homes that way, because both of those houses are big, they're right next door to each other. The only thing I don't like about it is they're not secluded.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's basically like a vacation home community, right? I can't imagine anybody lives there full time. But anywho, I feel like I'm digressing. What I'm really doing is I'm hoping somebody listening to the podcast right now has an idea and they're like, "Hey, April, we have this place," and that would be fantastic.
It needs to be serene.
Yeah, that's what I liked about the mountain place that we went, and the place that we have booked this year is that they're just completely in the middle of nowhere because we don't need anything. We bring our own food, we bring our own booze, we don't leave.
It becomes an all-inclusive
for us.
Stay.
We
yes.
create.
We create it, and we obviously pay for it, which is what you do when you're all-inclusive anyways.
Right.
But we do it, and it's a great time. I had, that 4-day was what I feel like made the difference, too. Because, you have your day that you arrive. We had the day that we got the following day. But it wasn't until that third day where it's like, damn, I'm really enjoying myself. I finally, and April can attest to this. The first day she walked up to me, she's like, chill the fuck out.
For real.
Because I'm always like, I wish a motherfucker would, I'm ready for the other shoe to drop. I don't know my location. I don't know the people around me. And I wish a motherfucker would. And so I'm like with my gun in the bed, all that fun stuff. So don't try us, okay? Whoever's listening to this. But I'm just saying, the first day, I'm always on edge. And that happens wherever I go. When it's unfamiliar to me, I'm always stressed out. But then having those 2 additional days to be like, all right, I'm here, I'm
able
cool.
to relax.
Right, whereas if it was just a one-night stay, then damn, I didn't really get to enjoy myself before we had to leave. So it was great.
Length of time.
Absolutely. Yep.
Everybody
Long enough
was
to
ready
where
to go home, but nobody was like, "Oh, I want to go home" before it was time.
And
No.
even Ted was like,
Everybody.
"You leave," and then you're like, "Oh, so sweet on the phone and calling me," and he knows that I miss him. Well, and then when I'm here, I'm like, "Fuck you."
Podcast and book club and everything has just kind of mushed itself together to be like this fun kind of amalgamation of all these things that we just love to sit around and talk about. Because here's what I love about us. And I'm always reminded of it when we go TikTok live and you have the trolls that come through that are like, "Oh, there's that new AA meeting," or whatever, because we like to drink when we drink. The truth is this podcast is an hour of our day, every other week, twice a week, once a week, whatever. But the other bazillion hours of our life is full of all of these other experiences that we do. And what I really like about the way book club and Bitches and Bourbon have come together is I think it kind of speaks to that idea of the depth of people. I think that we've gotten so used to being on social media and you see this plastic copy, this curated thing about people, and you look at them and you go, "Oh, I know what she's about. Oh, I know what she's about." But you really don't, because we can sit right here and drink. There's 4 of us. I am betting we could go through 6 bottles of wine this afternoon if we wanted to, between the 4 of us. And that would be fine. We can also sit around here and talk about the finer points of business and how to make a lead generation service work and what do we do to be successful and motivated and those kind of things. And we can also sit around and talk about the finer points of a book and what those kind of things look like, and the difficulties of raising children and the intricacies of relationship. And I love the fact that this has all kind of come together to kind of really bring a fullness of character. Reba and I were talking last night about how our podcast doesn't follow any kind of format and how we're just really kind of okay with that. And I think this thing that's happening right now is why I'm okay with that. We didn't know what we were going to talk about today. I knew that we were celebrating. Oh, God.
The
Champagne.
$5.25 bottle of champagne, damn it.
Thanks for hanging out with Ape and Reba on this episode of Bitches and Bourbon.
Make sure to check out the links in the show notes, and we look forward to hearing from you.
Until next time, here's to bad bitches and good bourbon. Cheers.
I mean, you have to like spicy pickle.